Hey guys, it's Lainey, and today I'm doing my August wrap-up. In the month of August, I read a total of 6 books, which is really good when you guys see books that I read. Surprisingly, this is the first month in probably since I started my booktube channel that I did not read any YA during the month, but it didn't even feel like that. I just felt like I read a really massive book, and you'll see why. Also, a unique thing about this month's wrap-up is that I only read mass market paperbacks, which is also something I have never done. But let's get started with my wrap-up for August. In the beginning of the month, I finished that Old Black Magic by Michelle Rowan, who you guys of course know by now is Morgan Rhodes, my favorite author. This is the third and final book in her Living in Eden trilogy. I have read the first two obviously over the past couple months, and I finally finished the third book, which is the last book in the trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's more of a 3.5, 4 out of 5 for me. I liked it. It's not my favorite Michelle Rowan series I've read, but I can just say it's another series of hers that I have now completed. And then I was kind of debating what I wanted to read. And finally, Riley from Riley Marie, she finally convinced me to pick up Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning, something. I was about halfway through this book when I realized I needed the second one, because I only bought the first one because I don't know. So my roommate and I went to Barnes & Noble and I got books 2 and 3 while I was still reading this one. I mentioned this in my book haul that this book was like a drug for me because I couldn't stop reading. Clearly because I read the rest of the series this month, as you will see. If you don't know, this series is about a young woman named Mac who finds out her sister was murdered in Dublin, so she goes over there to kind of figure out what happened to her sister, and while she's there, she discovers that she is a she-seer, which is a rare breed of human that can see the fae, and it kind of goes off from there, and she meets a very hunky guy. It's so slow burn in the romance of this entire series that you will be aching because you just want them to do the thing, and they don't. Did I really just say that on camera? I did. So, moving on. After I finished Dark Fever, it was actually a Sunday morning when I started Blood Fever, and I finished it that night. So this was an absolute one-sitting inhale read for me. The thing about this series, that I'll just keep talking because I have 3 more books to show you guys. The thing about this series is that she has a way of writing to the point where you feel like there's just so many loose ends at the end of the book that you just want the answers to them, so you pick up the next one. I've said this so many times to Riley that this book series needs to be an HBO show, kind of like what HBO did to True Blood. They could totally do with this series. I just visualize where the seasons cut off the entire time I was reading this series. Someone make this into a TV show, and it has to be on HBO. And then I read the third book in the series, which was Fae Fever. The ending of this one was just completely mind-blowing. I'm so glad I had the 4th book right on my shelf. I was so glad that I had the 4th book by the time I finished this one, that this series. Then I read the 4th book, which is Dream Fever. This one was also extremely good. So then finally I read Shadow Fever after I finished Dream Fever. And Shadow Fever is the final book, technically, in Mac's story. There are 2 more books in this series, plus another one coming out in January. I know technically the 6th book in this series is following another character in this world, which I'm fine with. I'm definitely so glad I finished the series in the month of August. It was the perfect read for me. It was exactly what I wanted. I just read them all. While I'm excited to read the next books in the series, I think I'm going to hold off a month or 2 because this was all I was thinking about. This entire series that I have read, that I read the entire month, was like this. This one book. This is what I read. So that's what I read in the month of August. I read the last book in a Michelle Rowan trilogy, as well as the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. I can't decide which one of the 5 is my favorite book I read this month, and don't make me decide. It has to be between Fae Fever and Dream Fever. I really liked those 2, which is the 3rd and the 4th book in the series. But, I also really loved the 5th book, Shadow Fever, mainly because it's super thick. It's over 650 pages long, and the print is smaller than the other 4 books. So I felt like I was reading a Game of Thrones novel without reading Game of Thrones. What about you guys? What's your favorite book you read this month? Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!